I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here inside the Hub Culture studio. It's Davos 2020. Really pleased to be joined by a friend of Hub Culture. Thanks for coming along, Christy.
Thanks for having me, Edie.
So, Executive Vice President, CBS News Digital. So tell me, Davos 2020, the state of the media. We've had the Edelman Trust Barometer out. Tell me how you reflected on some of what you've learned there.
Well, one of the things that the Edelman Trust Barometer said this year is that trust in all sectors is basically down.
Again.
Business, government, NGOs, media. It's not a good picture. There's a trust crisis, as has been the case for the last several years. For media, I think it's a time for us to listen and be humble.
So what does that actually mean, listening and be humble, as a media organization? Because I would have thought, as a media organization, your job was to broadcast the news.
Well, I think when you're trained as a journalist, or however you're trained, whether it's formally or informally, there's two things you need to be good at. One is listening, so that you can tell the story correctly and factually. The second thing is storytelling. So I think we've really advanced storytelling capability in recent years. Technology has helped us do that. But to some extent, our ability to listen has been hampered. And our skills, I think, have degenerated as an industry. I'm not speaking about CBS News right now per se, but I think as an industry, there's a lot of talking at people and not enough listening going on.
How do you think the younger generations deal with this? Do they do it better?
I think younger generations are calling BS on news organizations right now. We're seeing readership of newspapers go down. We're seeing viewership go down on broadcast and cable. And we are seeing a rise in digital media and in viewers sharing their own stories themselves rather than looking to media outlets to share their stories for them. One of the downsides of this is that trusted journalists and trusted journalism organizations, such as CBS News and CBSN, our 24/7 streaming, live streaming digital platform, can be a really great filter for fact. So
tell me more about that.
I still believe in the power of journalism to tell stories. And in particular, I believe it's a public service that should be focused on facts as opposed to opinions. I think that some organizations have gone a little bit too far toward a lot too far toward the opinion spectrum.
Interesting. So are people having trouble distinguishing between what fact is and what opinion is?
I can't really speak about whether people are having trouble distinguishing between it, but I can tell you that some of what I am hearing from our viewers is that they are rejecting news outlets that are solely focused or heavily focused on opinion, whether that's left, right, or any flavor in between. And they're coming to us because they want facts, and that is our focus on CBSN. So I do think there is a hunger for trusted sources of facts right now.
And do you see that any different between different forms of media within CBS? I guess I'm asking about different kinds of content, the news versus more magazine pieces or culture pieces.
That's interesting. We haven't studied that particular aspect of it, but what we do see is that our documentary series, CBSN Originals, has really gone through the roof in terms of viewership because people want deep dives into subjects.
That's interesting.
So we have found that the audience is capable of sticking with topics for long periods
Weirdly
of time.
Enough.
So, but that's an evolution of storytelling and the audience's capability to absorb it. I think that, in particular, the video news industry went for a long time toward shorter, quicker, trying to jam a lot of information into short periods of time. And what we are seeing is, if there's a topic that somebody's really interested in, they want to know everything about that, and they do trust us to give them a deep dive into those topics. Climate being one, gender equality being another, social justice being another. These are all topics that we've seen a great rise in interest from, particularly that younger audience that I was talking about.
And what about the interest in positive stories versus the old language of if it bleeds, it leads?
Really good question. What I would say is anytime you take a poll or a survey of news consumers, they say, we want positive, it's too negative. But the fact is, when you look at the data of what people read and watch, they do watch a lot of negative stuff. If there's a bad thing, a really, grisly murder or something, there can be a lot of interest in that. And so I will say it is balanced out by the positive, and we really do make an effort to shine a light on positive stories. So we have a series called The Uplift. It's all good news, and I think we're over 3 billion views of that series already.
Christy, thank you very much for stopping by the Hub Culture studio here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.